Ofoodie is a food technology company offering an online order management system through direct-to-merchant, in-premise dining, and hotel in-room contactless ordering and food shopping delivery. JM Libero is the CEO and co-founder of Ofoodie. So, hello JM. We're very happy to have you dito sa Startup Podcast.
Salamat. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me over. I'm very excited to share what Ofoodie is all about.
Okay, so let's start this conversation. So, ano nga ba ang Ofoodie?
Well, Ofoodie, we are a technology company, and really ang vision namin is to empower food and beverage businesses, especially yung MSMEs, through technology and innovation. So we started with order management, and then we allow direct-to-merchant order management, and then we also have on-premise table service, and then hotel in-room service. Pero we currently are popular here in Cagayan de Oro for our food delivery, which features food shopping experience. But really our goal is to make an app that has or will become an ecosystem for food and beverage industry.
I see. Okay, so as you said nga sa CDO, which maybe we can talk about later, like how it going there in CDO. Pero I'd like to talk din about the app kasi as you said nga yun yung parang pinaka-popular ngayon with Ofoodie. So maybe can you share about the technology or the app? So ano ba yung bago dito kay Ofoodie app?
Yep. So we have three things going on right now na active sa app. I mentioned the direct-to-merchant earlier. So the direct-to-merchant, currently, the business model of delivery na popular in the market or in the Philippines is that they are a marketplace and they manage the delivery or fulfillment of the food. It doesn't give the restaurants the liberty to manage everything end to end, but with Ofoodie's direct to merchant, we just give them, it's like a SaaS model. We give them the platform and they can manage the entire order end to end, including hiring their own riders. So from order management, incoming, up to hiring their riders, and then the delivery part, we can give it to them compared to the current market wherein they only prepare the food and then the rest they have no control because it's picked up by the delivery rider, you know. So that's one good thing because we empower the restaurant to manage their own delivery, and that's an extra income for them as well, because especially if they already have an existing riders na hire na nila, then they can utilize it, no, instead of having the bigger delivery apps do the delivery for them. The second part is the table service and room service. So just imagine just dining in right now, pwede naman na. You sit down, you scan a QR code, and you go to the app and order everything automated or online. It's the same thing, same concept sa hotel. Because right now, when you check into a hotel and order food, what happens is you have to call the cashier or the concierge in the kitchen to order food. Sometimes it's lost in translation, diba? You follow up after an hour, wala na, hindi pala siya na-order or nakalimutan. So with the app, you just scan a QR code, or if it's a 5-star hotel, maybe they provide their own device and then order from the Ofoodie app. It goes directly to the kitchen and cashier, and it identifies the exact room where the customer is, and it will be served to their room. Same concepts as table service. The app knows exactly what table they are, so it's a contactless solution, and they can also pay through the app. So that's the second part. And it's not just a QR code na typically when you scan a QR code, PDF file siya, and then you still have to call the waiter, no, or the wait staff. Here, when you scan the QR code, it's really the app itself that you can order, add to cart, and then it goes directly to the cashier and kitchen. So hindi siya mawawala, and then it can really be automated altogether. And then the last part is food shopping. We call it food shopping because imagine that we allow multiple orders in one single delivery from different restaurants. So it's simply like going into a mall and you only wanted to have lunch, let's say chicken, and then after eating chicken, you step out and you saw milk tea. So you order milk tea because you saw it, diba? And then before going home, you saw donuts, so you want to bring it home to your family. So it's a food shopping experience. You didn't want to order all of it, but because you saw it, you combine all of it and then purchase as one. And that's the same concept with the app. You can order from different restaurants and then we will have it delivered as one. This is very popular for us in Cagayan de Oro because we have malls and then food parks. But outside these clusters of restaurants, we do the normal delivery in a individual restaurant siya. So those are the three major features of the app right now that we're offering to restaurants.
Yeah, it's amazing actually. Like I've seen some restaurants nga na you can order contactless, like they have the devices. I think these are just a few restaurants na contactless yung pag-order ng food. But can we know more, like ano ba yung benefit ng pagiging contactless? And I've also seen this sa website ng Ofoodie. Actually, yun yung bubungad sa'yo pag pumunta ka sa website ng Ofoodie. Less waiting, faster order delivery, focused service. So maybe can we ask also, bakit ito yung qualities na ine-ensure ni Ofoodie?
Because it stems out really from the direct-to-merchant model at saka yung on-premise table dining service. It's fast and focused service because you don't have to wait for call a wait staff. You don't have to wait for the order and then you don't have to scan. It gives you the liberty as a customer. Kay ngayon, as consumers, we don't want anyone to be going to us. Okay, we need contactless solutions too. And then at the same time, the behavior of consumers now is that we want everything at our convenience. So when we sit down, we don't want a wait staff standing beside us waiting for the order, diba? So we browse through the menu and then add to cart and then submit whenever we like. And same with hotels. When we check in, we don't want to be calling the kitchen or the concierge and spend 30 minutes over the phone. I mean, when you step out, you just want to order. And then when you get into your hotel room, pag-scan mo, okay na, ma-serve yung food sa'yo directly. So that's the promise that the app is giving. So faster order, less wait, and then focused service talaga siya.
Yeah, ang galing kasi actually parang Ofoodie, parang nandun na lahat, and then it's really best kung centralized siya such that maybe, who knows, lahat ng restaurants in the future or lahat ng hotels is andun na talaga yung menus and you can order from there. And then can we know naman, like if I'm a user nga or a customer, like ano ba talaga yung mabe-benefit ko if I use the Ofoodie app? Like how really can it help me in my dining experience, in my food shopping experience?
So we look at two different customers right now. No, one is the direct customer B2C, which is, we call them eaters, the ones who order really, and then the other one is the B2B merchants or the food and beverage businesses, because we're a SaaS model really initially. So our initial customers are really the merchants or the restaurants, but now we dived into food delivery. So we now have eaters as our customers. So we bring the value by just simply the food shopping experience. You don't have to order individually for every restaurant. That's a convenience, right? And then we only charge one delivery fee, and then you wait for all the food once. It's not like you order for pizza and milk tea and then chicken. Nauna si milk tea, naubos mo na yung milk tea mo, saka pa dumating si pizza, and then sunod pa si chicken. While for this model, it's like a party. Like you have like now holiday, you can order for everything and then it'll be delivered to you once, and then you have to pay one delivery fee lang. And it's also popular for us here for offices like banks. So they initially, like banks or tellers, they cannot use their phone within the shift. So they pre-order ahead like 9 o'clock for their lunch, and then it'll be delivered for all of them. Na iba-iba yung choices natin eh. Like in a family too, like what's happening is that you want to order, your kid wants to order chicken in the popular restaurant chicken. And then ako as a parent, I want to order rice and sabaw. So what happens is that because your kid wants it, and then you want to save on delivery fee, you order in just one restaurant, so you have no choice. So that's one convenience that we give in the delivery perspective. And then for merchants, what we promise is that we give them 100% of the revenue. The challenge that we also hear from interviews that we have with merchants, and a lot of merchants are now backing out from the big delivery apps, is that they're being charged 20 to 35% from their revenue, and it's a huge margin cut. But what we do is that we pay them 100% of their store price, and we only mark up the app. So it's not a big markup, so it's still very competitive in the market. So that's our business model, and we pay them cash. We don't pay them like after a week or two. So small businesses like, small karinderya or small businesses in small towns, they can use their capital the same or the next day. Kasi di ba, usually pag nakuha mo yung capital mo or yung revenue mo today, you account for it and then you buy it. You buy your supplies the next day, and that's how businesses roll their money. So that's also a big help for them.
Wow, ang galing. Alam mo, JM, I have two things to say here. First thing is that parang yung ginagawang isang malaking food court yung buong
App.
dining experience, yung buong app. Kasi yun nga, if nasa isang restaurant ka lang, how about if gusto mo ng ibang food or ng ibang beverage? Pero parang with that app, you can buy from different restaurants. And second, I like yung business model kasi somehow hindi napupunta yung cost sa restaurant or dun sa may merchant. Somehow, I think napupunta yung parang cost sa customers, sa eaters. And it's okay naman kasi I mean, they're buying the convenience. Kumbaga yun yung value for them, yung experience. So, somehow, it can really empower yung ating mga food entrepreneurs. Is that right?
Yes, businesses. Yes, that's correct. I mean, our CTO, Rolly Narandan, and our business development chief is also from or used to work in Singapore, si Raquel Zayas. And in Singapore, it's really expensive for to order for delivery because you pay for the convenience. That's what they say. They have platform fee, that's a separate fee. You have delivery fee. You have the markup of the food that you ordered. So it's really expensive. But here in the Philippines, it's not. I mean, how we do it is it's not very expensive pa rin. So I think it's still a good market to go into.
Okay, that's really interesting. So punta naman tayo sa stories kung paano nga ba nagsimula si Ofoodie. I mean, sino ba ang may idea nito? And then maybe paano siya nagsimula and bakit kaya food industry? Like, is this your preference? Is this your, interest?
Yeah, so we are a group of people who loves to eat. Si Raquel, again, our business development, and then si Rolly. But it started way back mga 10 years ago. Rolly is a full stack software engineer and developer. And he works in Singapore before for a long time. And he was pitching this app, Ofoodie. Ofoodie na siya ever since to potential investors. But the business model was straight up merchant, direct to merchant, and table service. It doesn't have any delivery. And at that time, imagine 10 years ago, people don't really understand that is it really necessary to have a QR code and scan when you can just call a wait staff, right? And then pandemic happened, and then we heard like friends who have restaurants who are really complaining about the delivery apps because they're taken a huge profit margin, and then there's no contactless solutions available in the market. And so we did launch the app with the help of SM mall here in Cagayan de Oro. So we launched it in 2 malls. And then we worked in the delivery side of it because that's what the market needed. We cannot push with the current model na meron si Rolly before. So we had to adapt. And we did launch the delivery, and it was good. The market accepted it, and we have consistent customers or repeat customers. So that's how it all started, actually.
Ang interesting ng story, and also Ofoodie represented Region 10, Cagayan de Oro, in the finals of DICT Philippine Startup Challenge 2021. So maybe can you share ano ba yung naging progress ng Ofoodie along the years, especially nga recently nung nagsimula yung pandemic. So maybe in the recent years or months, so paano ba nag-grow or nag-progress si Ofoodie?
So we launched it as just a delivery app, and then we weren't working on the original model. And so eventually we learned through discussions with merchant what they really wanted. So we were some of them they're not really interested in the table service because it's a small restaurant. So why do you still have to use a technology when you can just call a wait staff? And some restaurant managers don't want to deal with it as well because they will lose people. We will be removing people because it's adapting to technology. But at the time, it was just a spur of the moment na I saw the ads or the poster of the ICT Startup Challenge. So I just submitted it. I think sometime August or September or late August. And then we didn't hear anything for weeks. And then suddenly, towards the end of October, we got an email saying that we're invited for the workshop and preparation session for the regional competition. So we were surprised, like in few days we have to join, and we were so busy. It was okay, so we had to prepare for the competition. And what we really focused on during the competition and what we wanted to showcase really is the viability of the app and the long-term vision, which is to be an ecosystem for food and beverage. And luckily we made it the regional. We became the champion, and then we moved on to the finals. And it was the entire Philippine Startup Week that really boosted our confidence, that we can really have a venue and avenue for a startup like us and showcase the product. But in terms of ecosystem dito sa Cagayan de Oro and Mindanao, specific to Cagayan de Oro, CDO, according to Startup Blink, which is a website that ranks startups, CDO is number 3, like third in the Philippines as a city with advanced ecosystem in startups. And there are about if I'm not mistaken, about 12 popular apps. And then a lot of them, actually like 4 or 5, made it to the Philippine Startup Week and current competitions. So that gives you an idea that CDO has a huge potential in terms of innovation and startup ecosystem.
Yeah, really looking forward to sa pag-grow ng startup ecosystems, not just in Metro Manila but also in the regions outside. I mean, basically buong Pilipinas. And speaking of Philippine Startup Week 2021, so Ofoodie was part of the event organized by Cookbook. So shout out nga pala kay Albert Gracilla. He's also the one who initiated to have this episode of Startup Podcast with Ofoodie. And yung event na yun is tactics for restaurant owners to survive the post-pandemic era. So maybe JM, can you share ano ba yung mga nangyari nung event na to, and like maybe ano yung takeaways dun sa discussions and session na to?
Yeah, well, props to Albert Gracilla and then Ben Rocco of Cookbook PH. Yeah, really for inviting me. It was my first time to even join a panel, and it was my first time, or our first time, to join the Philippine Startup Week. So the discussion was because we are all, like, both companies are food related to food business or technology. So what we talked about are insights on how we can help the restaurants, because Ben is a restaurant owner and Albert and myself are into the food technology. So it was a good session of sharing how the restaurants or F&B businesses can revive their business post-pandemic or even during the pandemic, because we don't really know when this is going to end. New strains are coming up, no? But what we were talking about, or what we talked about, are the things that could help the businesses. And the 3 takeaways we talked about is, one, understanding the business and how the pandemic impacted them, because everyone is just talking, our business is down, we closed because of pandemic, but nobody really understood how it impacted their business. Is it because of the location? Is it because of the customer base? Are you located in a major city and a hub where there's a lot of employees, and then suddenly nobody's going to work because nobody is allowed to go to work? So did that impact you? Or are you a restaurant who's just doing virtual business and then doing the delivery, so that's why it did not impact you? Rather, it improved your business because you're expert in delivery already. So those kind of things, some of the restaurant owners didn't really understand how it completely impacted their business, and so they don't know how to revive the business like right away or quickly, because they don't understand the initial problem. And then the next topic was all about, from that analysis, you take action to make your business stable. So what are the tips? Like digital, everyone's moving into the digital marketing. So how are you doing the marketing? What are the things that you're also doing to prepare your business for the for the new normal, which is everyone's going back to business, and that's where we were pitching Ofoodie, because we can do contactless solutions. What else are you doing? And then the last part is all about evolving and making your business future proof, because this is just one. There could be many other challenges in the future that will close down your food business. So how are you going to evolve your business? Are you adapting to technology? Are you reviewing and checking the landscape of the market and the customers? Are you changing your menu? As simple as that. Are you adapting to the market now, changing your menu? What is the best seller? What are the non-selling items that you can remove so that hindi ka magagastusan sa stocks, yung parang nag-expire ang supplies mo, no? So those kind of things that were the topics that we talked about, and hopefully everyone who listened got a tip or two and helped their business. Yeah.
Of course. And by the way, speaking of competitions pala, so si Ofoodie was also part of the final pitch. Yeah, so maybe can you share lang a bit of story about this, like and maybe I mean, firstly, why are you joining this kind of competitions, and maybe share the story, the progress.
Yeah, for the final pitch naman, comparing to the ICT, it was also a spur of the moment. I submitted it the last day of the submission. So I was still thinking, should I join? But last day I recorded. There's a requirement for video that you have to record yourself. So until 3 a.m. I think I was still doing the video because it was my first time, and then I submitted it. And then the next day we got an email that we're going to be interviewed for the initial discussion if we can make it to the final. And then we did get the interview, and then we were told right then and there, we are inviting you to fly to Manila for the final pitch. Like, what? We're a startup. We don't have money. We're budgeting our funds right now. So we're like, where do we get the money to fly to Manila? Should we fly? Do we even do this, or should we just do virtual? Because they're allowing virtual. So, we just said, F it, let's go and fly. So we did fly with the lack of money that we have. We did fly, and then we did get to talk to people, meet John personally, and then the Dragon Nest office. And that's where we met Albert.
Yeah.
Because Albert is also a participant in the final pitch. So it wasn't much of a competition. It was you pitching to investors, and they were virtual. That's a challenge there. You don't know how you are presenting yourself because it's virtual. They're listening from a huge screen, compared to if you're pitching one-on-one or personally with a potential investor. So along the way, it was very nerve-wracking, but the lessons we learned are things that we are taking with us right now, putting focus. We were questioned about the market, the challenge. The biggest was, the competition is very steep. There are two major competitors right now in the key cities, and how are we tackling that? So competition will always be there, but that's what we're using as a guide to push the boundaries, because we know that we can do so much better because we know the market. And especially here in Mindanao, there are very few competition. What we're understanding now is that the smaller towns need innovations like this. So from there, we learned so many things, and we're taking it with us right now.
Yeah, ang exciting ng growth ng Ofoodie and yung mga adventures na napupuntahan ni Ofoodie. I think it's really fun to be a startup in the Philippines kasi bukod sa, natatest yung resourcefulness mo, you also get to have some interesting and exciting opportunities. So, can we know naman ano yung mga recent milestones ni Ofoodie beside just sa competitions na sinasalihan nito and sa events? Like maybe, ano ba yung growth ni Ofoodie in terms of customers or users and in terms of partners, maybe?
Yeah, so for our milestones, we already have a good footprint dito sa CDO. What we're doing is we're testing to widen our coverage by going to smaller cities and towns outside of Cagayan de Oro. So we're understanding the bigger market now and the capability to adapt solutions. So one of the milestones we have is that we were able to launch it with SM. So there are two SMs here, like a premier mall and then a smaller SM, and then we got to onboard them, and with them are the merchants. So we did get to speak directly with the merchants to onboard them individually. So from there, that's already a huge milestone for us. And then we are launching our hotel. So we get to speak with hotels here in Cagayan de Oro. We are now onboarding 2 hotels. So hopefully soon they're ready to be launched. But this month we are testing the OFW feature. So this is also very exciting because it's working already. We're just waiting for the credit card or the payment portal to be available. So OFWs or even friends from Manila or outside of Cagayan de Oro, you can order using Ofoodie and surprise your families and friends. No, and then they can pay it na through the app. Hopefully with let's say there's a credit card. So if you're an OFW, you have family here in Cagayan de Oro, all you have to do is pin their address and it gets the coverage. Now, since we do the combined order or the food shopping experience with the food parks and malls, so if you want to surprise your family, it won't be individual restaurants. So it's like it's a party. So if someone has a birthday party, then you deliver it in one. So surprise siya. And then it happened to one customers from UAE, one of our customers who is from UAE. It did surprise his friends, barkada niya, with burger. So there's one popular burger joint here. So they did surprise, and that's one of the features that we are very excited to completely launch na this month.
Yeah, and bukod pala sa food court, no, na parang role ni Ofoodie, you bring the party to anywhere, basically. And ang daming functionalities talaga ni Ofoodie. But maybe can you share, JM, ano ba yung vision talaga ni Ofoodie? Like maybe, what really do you see with Ofoodie in the future and maybe yung food technology industry in the future? So maybe can you share some of your plans or mga announcements maybe?
Yeah. So our future plan really is to become a ecosystem for food and beverage. So really an app for food. That's why Ofoodie, it's all about food, So currently we have the delivery, we have the on-premise contactless, we have the hotel in-room service, but we are launching the grocery in the future, and then we have the OFW for food, and then we are targeting to have the ecosystem wherein we are directly connected with suppliers and farmers to supply these restaurants. Hopefully, in a year or two, we already have hundreds of restaurants and MSMEs. What we want to do is to connect the suppliers and food producers such as farmers, fishermen, to directly supply the restaurants and cut the cost of middleman, or distribution. So that's one. We also want to become like or have the feature wherein we give loans to MSMEs or F&B SMEs, like Carinderia. They want to grow and buy, more caldero or stove so that they can expand their business, but it's just difficult because they don't have credit lines and everything. So that's something that we want to also provide in the future. So that's fintech incorporated into Ofoodie, and then eventually like a cloud kitchen. So we want to have, when we have money already, we want to buy properties or rent spaces and then bring in good restaurants to key cities and bring in cloud kitchen to more regions in the Philippines.
So Ofoodie is really empowering the food industry and empowering the food enterprises nga, down to yung mga maliliit lang na establishments na. Yeah, so I think it's really we really look forward sa progress ni Ofoodie. So this is a very insightful conversation, JM. So if people want to know more or want to connect with you, so how can they find you? Or maybe they want to partner up with you, so how can they know more about you?
Yeah, so to connect with me, You can email me at jmlibero, jmlibero at ofoodie.io. You can also check my LinkedIn, Jose Marie Libero, or you can message us through our Facebook page, Ofoodie. So if you see an Ofoodie with a teal color, that's our brand. That's us. That's Ofoodie. So we're all about food.
Yeah, teal pala ang color ni Ofoodie. So thank you so much, JM.
Thank
This
you.
is a very insightful, really, conversation. I mean, for me personally, before I know less about the food technology, and hopefully mas maraming tao nga yung makaalam sa mga innovations and advancements in the food industry. So thank you very much, JM and Ofoodie.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. God bless and more power to Startup Podcast and to you too.